Hello everyone, welcome back to Fraud on the Telly. So, if you didn't see last night's episode of Critical Role, it was backstory central for Bell's Hells. Just about everyone had some kind of backstory moment, whether it was minor or big, like this huge info dump we finally got on Ashton and what's going on with his head, to the small details like with FCG and Imogen. Today, however, we'll be focusing on Ashton and breaking down all of that backstory and lore dump we got in Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 22. As well as I'll give you my thoughts and speculation on what I think is going on with Ashton's head. As always, if you enjoyed the video and learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out some of our other Critical Role content, like our videos on Imogen and Laudna's backstory so far. Okay, let's get into it. So what do we know about Ashton Greymoor so far? They are an Earth Genasi barbarian with a bit of a temper. They wield a large glass hammer with the words "F*** off" engraved in it. On the back of the jacket is embroidered the words "Just don't," and on his leg there is a large symbol of the clasp. His hair is made of crystals, and there's a large hole on the side of his head filled with glass. Inside, one could see his brain and a strange milky liquid flowing inside. Okay, so besides looking hella awesome, what do we really know about them? Before joining with Bell's Hells, Ashton ran with a crew known as the Nobodies. They would do all sorts of morally dubious jobs. The last one they did with the group was to burglarize Gianna Hexam's home, a prominent but dubious businesswoman. While much of Ashton's memory up until this episode was pretty fuzzy about this event, they remember being thrown off a balcony, which presumably would be how they got the hole in their head. From here, they were found by Milo Crook, a young tinkerer, who managed to somehow put Ashton back together. Early on in this episode, episode 22, Ashton gets a classic Matt dream sequence. Can we just take a moment here and talk about how Travis is just as much of a fan as we are? The moment Matt even hints at a dream sequence, his face just instantly lights up. It had me laughing so hard. Ashton in this dream begins having flashes and moments of memories long past or possibly memories forgotten. He begins having flashes of memories of the break-in of Gianna Hexam's home. Again, the strange crate mentioned in episode 21 sneaks out in his mind.
In your night's rest, whether it be brought on by exterior physical handling of yourself that you're unaware of or not, you sleep soundly not out of a calm rest, but out of just a physical exhaustion. Still recuperating from the previous journey, but you keep having these flashes, these moments, memories of holding an adult's hand above you. You have images of wandering through the long path from the Hellcatcher Valley northward and being mindful of the crawlers and other wandering brigands. Just moments scattered of your life like a broken puzzle. Fractured but put back together, like you. And to that point too, flashes of the climactic break-in that set this strange path. The darkly lit interior of Hexam's manor, the whispered rushing of the Nobodies around Milo trying to get you to join, but your confidence and intent to unseat some mysteries keeping you a bit too long behind. Flashing to that crate again, the last thing you remember from that failed burglary, reaching into it, and then a striking white coloration. The sound like a thunder crack, but echoing into 1,000 echoes from all different directions. In one moment you are 1,000 pieces, and then back to one. And waking up in the Crook House, Milo standing over you, their thick glasses upon lenses, looking down at you with the lantern light, sweat dripping off their face, dirt and grease smeared on their brow, their knitted cap pulled tightly over as their massive eyes, magnified, blinking. You okay? You okay? Okay. The echoes progress even further. Hundreds of echoes. Okay. Reversing and then colliding again. and then just dark, restful sleep. You all wake up!
Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite Matt dream sequences. I don't know why, because he's done so many and they're all so good, but this one specifically just really drew me in. Later in the episode, the party meets with Hexam at her estate to claim the reward for the heist competition. While there, in her study, Ashton notices another one of the strange crates mentioned earlier last episode. For some reason, these crates seem to stick out in Ashton's mind. He has some sort of memory of them. Later on, the party returned to the Crook House, Ashton's former home, Ashton wanting to talk to his old friend Milo. While there, Ashton asks Milo about the last job they went on with the Nobodies. Ashton says they can't remember why they were even doing the job in the first place or exactly who hired them. Milo tells Ashton all he knew was it was some sort of smash and grab, and it wasn't supposed to be anything crazy. Ashton rolls a 20 insight, getting a Matt Mercer whisper. Even though we don't exactly know what Matt told Talesin, it seems like Milo was telling the truth, and he really didn't seem to know much, or maybe he's forgotten, or it's been taken from his mind in some way. Ashton presses Milo a little further. Finally, Milo begins to talk, unraveling the story.
You were clutching something at the time, something that you wouldn't let go of, and I had to pry it from your hands. And it was like a crystal vial, about that long.
What the fuck?
And I couldn't figure out what it was, but it looked magical. It was like this kind of weird grayish liquid. And when nothing else was working, I didn't know what else to do. So I just kind of threw it in the gumbo, if you will, and poured the glass and sealed it up. And that's when you started to spark again. That's when something pulled you back. So it must have worked, whatever it was. I just think whatever weird gods were looking down on you that day. But you start to get flashes of memory. Little like, damn it! Coming up. Shit.
Yeah.
Just little flickers. You catch one image of a dark corner of a tavern with a bunch of figures on a table, and you can just barely see the glasses of Milo glinting off some of the nearby lantern light, and there's somebody else there in the group that you don't recognize being like, these shipments she's getting are timed. There's something to it. I think tonight's our chance. More running through the streets. Back to darkness. Quietly creeping the wood. Footsteps in a dark interior. To the right, you see the shape of a familiar white bust. Back to darkness. In a room that you don't recognize. What looks to be runes on the ground beginning to light up and glow. And there's an instinct to run. Then it blinks back before that. And you see a crate hidden off to the side. And you see Ashton taking the hammer and using the edge of it to crowbar open the top of this crate. As a voice behind's going, quick, go! We don't have time! Back to darkness. And then looks down and the top of the crate is open and Ashton's hand reaches in and rummages and you hear the sound of many glass things clinking. Pulls free and there is a singular glass vial in his hand. Not enough light to make out more details of it. And this memory now begins to feed into the one you saw previously as these dull red runes begin to glow in the chamber. Back to darkness. The next flash is the sky and the edge of a balcony getting further and further away. And then flashes. Oh God! Go! Shit! You f***ed it up! Stop it, let him! He's dead, just leave him. Come on. And you're just seeing shapes and movement and blurred states shifting in and out. Large, kind of flickering shapes kind of just drifting in the air from the perspective, like dust particles out of focus, just lightly bleary-eyed. And then a dark shape steps in front of it. The glasses pull away. You okay? No way. And a smile. And the spell ends.
Okay, so immediately the most obvious conclusion is that the vial was some sort of liquid dunamancy or something. Let's just call it Luxon juice, I guess, for a better word. If you haven't watched Campaign 2, you're probably like, doing a what now? What is going on? In short, there are these things known as Luxon Beacons throughout Exandria, which contain fragments of the Luxon, which is said to be the first light of the world, said to be a being of pure chaotic energy and potential. My understanding, dunamis is this primal magical energy of potential that can be wielded to bend time, space, reality. Yana Hexam, it seems, has some interest in these beacons or dunamantic magic, as Ashton pulled the vial that was mentioned earlier from the box. In Campaign 2, Veth's husband Yeza was tasked with creating a vial of dunamancy and experimenting on the beacons themselves. Up until this point, I believe we only knew as an audience about one vial of dunamantic magic that was made, as the Mighty Nine really strived to stop the production of this stuff from the Cerberus Assembly. Obviously, it seems they weren't that successful. As well, it seems the memory loss both Milo and Ashton suffered is possibly related to dunamantic magic, as both of them describe some sort of effect that took hold on them when Ashton opened the box. My theory is this is some sort of dunamantic trap. They either affected space and time and potential, maybe doing something to modify all of their memories. We know from Yeza's experiments in Campaign 2 that dunamantic fields can be created which can affect a large number of people in a variety of ways, such as moving unnaturally fast or feeling sluggish and slow. My guess is this is some sort of dunamantic magic field that was trapped by Hexam whenever the box was opened by Ashton, something like that. Matt also describes ruins in the room as well, so this does seem to kind of fit this. Just my guess, though. Even more interesting thing is that Ashton is now potentially a walking beacon of some kind. This would explain a lot of his strange barbarian abilities, such as his orbital decay, which affects the gravity near him, pulling enemies towards him, or his temporal mass ability, which allows Ashton to potentially half the speed of his chosen target. All of these are very dunamantic magic-like things. Everything really seems to be checking out here. Even Laura seems to think so, as when this is all revealed, she looks over to Liam saying the words dunamancy. Another interesting question is, why is Gianna Hexam so interested in dunamancy? We know she's a woman obsessed with power, and she talks about liking to acquire things which make her life easier, thus her interest in automatons. This could possibly explain how she became so successful, and why she seems to always assume that she's going to get her way if she was constantly using fragments of possibility to manipulate space and time. So many questions answered, but with all good mysteries, with every answered question comes a new unanswered one. The idea of Ashton as a walking beacon with the souls of those linked to the Luxon swirling around in his head is quite the scaring one. Knowing Matt Mercer, there's going to be plenty of twists and turns along the way, so trying to predict things with Critical Role is almost impossible at times, even though seeing the overall broad picture for how things are going, it really looks like the story at some point is going to transition to implements of Matt's new upcoming book, Call of the Neverdeep, which heavily employs the Red Moon Ruidus and some elements of dunamancy from what I've been told. As always though, I'm probably wrong about at least half of this, as it is just my thoughts and speculation. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm curious to know you guys' theory about Ashton's backstory. As always, if you enjoyed the video and learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Click another video on screen now. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Peace, love, Antu.